Hi everyone, good evening. Welcome to our live after 5. What a miserable rainy day it's been. Definitely carrying my own sunshine today, even though it was quite a challenging day. I was in Capquin today. We have a lovely property that's due to close very soon, and I needed to go and check on the heating and make sure that the heating was on. And what did I do? But I left my handbag at the property. So I had to go back to the property. Anyway, them are the breaks. So I'd just like to talk to you about an appointment that I had this morning in County Waterford. I met a lovely lady who's looking at selling her property, and I was talking through the whole process of selling, and it dawned on me that I would make a good live after 5. So many people ask, well, what is the conveyancing process? In other words, guide to selling. What's involved? So just take you through the steps if you're thinking of selling. So the first thing is you need to get a market appraisal for your property. How much is your house worth? Okay. And your market appraisal should also include suggestions in terms of how to present the house well to get the maximum number of people to view your property, i.e. getting you the very best price. So let's just say you get your market appraisal by the agent, you're happy with it. Now the market appraisal should include some comparable evidence. What I mean by that is properties that have actually sold that are similar properties to yours, and not prices of properties that are actually advertising on the market. That's the competition. That's interesting, and that should be taken into consideration. However, the market evidence is what has actually sold. So that's a very strong indicator as to the value of your property, and we would usually look at 3 comparable properties. If yours is a unique property, standalone, you're not going to find a property that's exactly the same, but it should have similar attributes. It might not be in the exact same location, but a similar type location. Then there's things to take into consideration, such as the decor of the property, how much work has to be done, do you need to upgrade the heating system, does the boiler need to be replaced, will the kitchen need modernisation, will there be installation costs? People are very, very mindful of energy costs now. So your BER energy rating is really important. So if you're thinking of selling down the line, why not get it done early on and speak to the assessor and see is there any easy wins to increase the BER rating. So you've got your appraisal, you're happy with it, it makes sense, you talk it through with the agent, you get your BER, your energy rating. You need to ensure that you have your solicitor hired early on. Now, you might not have the deeds of your property, so your solicitor might have the deeds. Now, I was asked a question recently, do I need to use the solicitor that I've always used all my life or the family's used? No. Hire a solicitor that's going to be efficient, because when you do have a bar, you don't want it to take ages before contracts go out. So, but make sure when you are putting your property on the market that you engage a solicitor. Get some recommendations and ask them for a full outlay of the fees. What exactly are the costs? So you have, and then you get recommendations. Okay, that's very important. And ask the agent. Agents always know who the really good solicitors are. So, okay, so you've got your agent hired, you've got the valuation, you have your BER, your solicitor, and you get the title deeds, because that can take ages. So get in front of that. And make sure that the title, in other words, what you've got for sale, is exactly what's registered with the land registry, and that the appropriate planning permission is in place, that you haven't built a big garage without planning permission, you haven't done an extension without planning permission, and if it's there over 20 years, you will probably need to go for retention. You don't want to have to do those things after you go on the market. You want to have your house in order, pardon the pun. So you have your agent, your valuation, you have your BER, your solicitor. You need to have amazing photographs. really, really important. So the house presentation, very important. Great weather and the marketing. Speak to the agent about the marketing. Where is my property going to feature? Make sure your agent is very active on social media, because there are passive buyers who may not be on the property portals, and you want your property in front of the most eyeballs. Super important. Okay, so then your agent brings people to view your property, and your agent should be giving you lots of feedback on how that's going. Then let's say you've got an offer that you're really happy with. Hopefully you've got multiple offers. Anyway, you have an offer and you want to make sure that the buyer is purchase ready. And then the agent will write to the solicitors, your solicitor, the buyer's solicitors, and that's then when contracts should be issued. And there is no reason why they shouldn't go out within a week. Sometimes they take 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 weeks. I don't think that that's reasonable, especially if you as a seller have engaged your solicitor early on in the process, not when you've gone sale agreed. So then the buyer, if the buyer is getting a mortgage, they are going to need to get a bank valuation, okay? And the bank will send an agent out who's on their panel to value the property. So hopefully their valuation will be aligned with the price of the sale of the house. We haven't had any difficulties like that in recent times. And then the buyer needs to get the engineer out, to assess the property, to check the condition of it, to check the planning and everything. So you should really be getting your buyer, make sure the agent gets the buyer to book the engineer as soon as possible, because some engineers have a really long wait list. So you can get a number of recommendations for engineers, at least the buyers can. So you want to be moving all these things on as swiftly as possible, or should I say, that's what your agent does. Make sure that the buyer get their valuation done promptly, that they get the engineer's report done promptly, and all that sort of thing. So if the buyers, though, have to sell their own property, then that means that your buyers are in a chain. So it's really important that you understand the buyer's journey from the very outset. Now, if you're selling your property and you have to find a property, I'd always say, if at all possible and you can arrange for somewhere to go temporarily, that is the perfect scenario. But again, if that's not possible and you need the funds from the sale of your property to buy another property, then you should be looking in advance as to what exactly your criteria is. Do you want to live in the countryside? Do you want to be in a housing estate? Do you want to be on a standalone site? Find out exactly what good looks like for you. Have a list of what you have to have, and then a list of what are variables. In other words, what you can live with. So for example, you might decide, I have to have a house on an acre of land minimum. I do not want to live in a housing estate. I want a bungalow. But you might decide, but I could live with a 2-story house. That's okay. It doesn't have to be a bungalow. It has to be on its own site. Or you might say, I can live in a housing estate, but it has to be a bungalow. I'd prefer detached, but I could live with a semi-detached. I want a 3-bed, but I could live with a 2-bed. So the more flexible you are, it is more likely that you will find what you want, because the stock levels are lower than they've been in a very long time. So anyway, I hope you find that helpful. How long does it take for a sale to close? I can't answer that, because it depends on all the moving parts. It depends on whether the buyer is getting a mortgage. It depends on how quickly the engineer's report is done. It depends on whether the seller has somewhere to go. It depends on whether the buyer's in a chain. So many different things. It can be done in 4 weeks, I can tell you that. It can take a year. It can take a year and 2 months. It can be done in 3 months. It can be done in 8 weeks. But the more organized you are in advance, the better the team you have around you, your agent, your communication, their problem solving skills, the solicitor, the engineer for the buyer, all of that kind of thing. So if there is anything we can do to help you, or you would like a guide to selling, send us a message here. We're here to help. Thanks for watching. And also log on to our YouTube channel for Liberty Blue. estate agents in Waterford, and we've got loads and loads of tips on our YouTube channel, okay? Thanks for watching.